Introduction. Back when I was in college, I answered a student roommate wanted ad for an apartment in New York City. Little did I know, this was the day that would change my entire philosophy and outlook on men and the course of my life forever. I was living in New York, on the black side of town, single and miserable as ever. My days consisted of going to school and work, coming home and doing it all over again. Despite coming into contact with a good number of men, many of whom I fancied, my dating and social life was depressingly non-existent. Let me clarify. I can't actually say the reason for my pitiful dating life was due to not a single man showing interest in me. Instead, I suffered from a classic cruel game the love gods like to play, in which the guys I was attracted to never seemed to look twice at me. Meanwhile, I couldn't beat off the men I had no interest in with a stick. Most of my friends thought I was too picky and would be single forever if I kept turning down the advances of men who displayed interest in me, but I couldn't help it. I was never the type to settle, and I had a very clear vision of the guy for me. You see, I liked white guys. But not just any old white guy. I was specifically attracted to white men who were tall, had wavy, sandy brown hair, light eyes, and a lean to medium build. Personality-wise, I preferred the artsy hipster type who would ideally match my entrepreneurial drive and spirit so that we could be untethered from normal adult trappings and travel the world together. It might seem weird for a brown girl to have a preference for white men. After all, most women, with the exception of Asian women, tend to date and marry within their own race. I can't say for certain, but I believe my first boyfriend, who was white and possessed these characteristics, played a huge factor in what I had come to fashion my ideal guy after. Perhaps our 3-year relationship, which was mostly good, especially compared to the experience of my single black girlfriends, or black friends and their black boyfriends, had solidified my visions. Either way, I unequivocally knew what I wanted. It was getting what I wanted that proved to be the challenging part. I would pass hundreds of single men every day on the train, in cafes, in the hallways of my university and elsewhere, who possessed the physical attributes that got my blood pumping. However, nothing would ever come of it. It wasn't long before I became discouraged and questioned whether my first boyfriend was merely a fluke. It didn't appear that there were a lot of white guys who were attracted to black women, or at least to me. That was until I met my new roommate. "Hi, I'm Shiori," the 5'4" Japanese girl who answered the door said. She was absolutely stunning from head to toe. She had long, shiny black hair, wore a simple yet chic black slip dress, and her makeup was flawless without being overdone. In comparison, I was a frumpy sight in my favorite green sweatsuit, bare face, and hair pulled back into a signature ponytail. As Shiori gave me the tour of the apartment, which her parents had bought for her so she wouldn't needlessly be throwing money away on rent, she commented that I was the first person to see it. We instantly hit it off, and upon writing her a check on the spot, thanks to a housing allowance scholarship, I moved in just a few short days later. Shiori and I had many things in common. We attended the same school, had the same major, liked to live in a clean and quiet space, and as it turned out, we both had a thing for white guys. The only difference was she was constantly asked out on dates, while I sat at home hitting the books or goofing around on my computer. She'd always get in late and give me the recaps, which led to me fantasizing and longing even more for the guy out there who would sweep me off my feet. One day, I was having lunch in the school cafe when I noticed a drop-dead gorgeous student who triggered all my attraction points. So much so, it was all I could do to stop myself from staring. I had read all the books about flirting and decided the day had come for me to push myself out of my comfort zone and finally get in the game. The first thing I could remember from the dating books was that I was supposed to make eye contact and hold his gaze, so I attempted to do just that. There was only one problem. After getting a glimpse of me, he never looked back. It was a complete bust. How was I supposed to hold a man's gaze who wouldn't look at me in the first place? Feeling incredibly frustrated, unattractive, and hopeless, I went home in a sour mood. When Shiori arrived a few hours later, bubbling with excitement about one of the many cute guys she had been seeing, I curtly let her know I didn't want to hear it. Sensing something was wrong, she prodded, and I reluctantly revealed how annoying it was that she was able to get any guy she wanted, while I couldn't even get one single date with any of the men I fancied. She went silent for a while, and looked as though she wanted to say something, but was choosing her words wisely. Finally, she spit it out. "Look, I don't want to offend you." I braced myself to be offended. "But you're not exactly giving the guys you want the green light." She had my attention. "Not giving men the green light," I repeated in a confused tone. "Yeah, you like white guys, but they think the average black girl wants to date a black guy. It's up to you to signal that you do. On the other hand, every Asian girl I know would date and even prefer white guys, and they make it obvious, which means it's a lot safer to ask us out. You can either change the public's entire perception about the number of black girls who want to date interracially, or you give clear-cut signals to individual guys." "I try to give signals," I exclaimed, "but how am I supposed to flirt with a guy if he never notices me in the first place?"